All right, Chris, a lot of Forbidden Door developments tonight on Dynamite. I would say after 2 down weeks, this was a big step up for me for Dynamite. Not just because of, but partially because they're back in an arena. And I think that helped add some energy to the building, and I think it added some energy to the wrestlers being in front of fresh fans and a bigger crowd. I thought the Young Bucks were a blast to watch. We can get into that upset. What the heck? Let's start with that. There's no runaway headline on this show. Bro Dito.
This is probably my Bro Dito. Yeah.
Yep.
This is probably my favorite Young Bucks I've ever seen. I really like this. I think it's great character.
Yep.
I think they're still very good wrestlers and showing that they're a world-class tag team while showing ass and doing it really well. It's really funny. The entrance, I mean, I laughed out loud at the little pyro,
yes,
the Roman candles essentially that went off. That was a fun entrance. The way Justin Roberts read the hello, their actual entrance, word for word, the note that he got, even with the commas. That was quality comedy wrestling that you can still take everybody seriously in the match as wrestlers.
Yep.
But man, good stuff.
Yes. A couple
and
chat
then
room
Brodito as
by the way, Griffin, your internet is lagging, so we're probably going to be talking over each other a little bit. Your picture's real grainy. I don't know that there's anything you can do about it, but
I'll switch bands. You go ahead and talk.
Okay, sounds good. Yep. So a couple chat room comments that we'll get in here on this very topic. Scott TPA says, I really love the present. Oh, that's the wrong one. The chat filled up while I was looking away. Sadler version 3 said, not a Young Bucks guy at all, but I agree that this is the most entertaining they've been since I've watched them. Ramen Noodle says, same. Love this Bucks run. Scott TP adds, the Bucks were super entertaining tonight too. So, for people that didn't see, most people probably saw it, not necessarily. They yelled at a production guy saying that they deserve more respect than they had been getting. And they handed a script to the production guys to get that to Justin Roberts. And then they, when they came out, their entrance screen did not raise, so they had to crawl under the garage door, so to speak, to get to the ring. Their
very
music
Spinal Tap.
Yes, that's a great
very
reference.
Spinal Tap. Oh yes,
so good. So
one
great
of the
example.
10 greatest movies ever made, and scares me a little. There's going to be a sequel this year. Is this better internet or just as bad?
It's catching up. Your face
good,
is 60% better.
Yep. Okay. Hey.
Wow.
Any improvement probably would be better. Yeah, a little scared about a sequel to Spinal Tap, but yes, great. Again, great comedy wrestling where you get to take the wrestlers seriously at the end of the match.
I got to watch Spinal Tap with my son for the first time about a year ago, and that was so fun. I hadn't watched it in a long time, and it held up well, and he loved it. So not only
I was disappointed that my son was disappointed. He did not love it as much.
How old was he when he watched it?
16.
Oh, okay, yeah. 15.
He should have got it.
Yeah. Well,
it's his fault.
Yep. Point for my son. 0 points for your son. We'll see how we'll keep score. But yeah, no, I know the feeling of that when you're like, oh, I want them to love this, and it's like, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Okay, so let me get a couple other things in here, Griffin, on the entrance for the Bucks, because not only did they have to crawl under the garage, but then their pyro blasted, but blasted I put in quote marks because it just sort of fizzled. There were a few sparks. There was smoke sputtering. It looked like you were looking 2 houses over at a neighbor barbecuing. It just was not impressive. And then their music played, and Tony Schiavone described it as ice cream truck version of their entrance theme, which was a really nice touch. Am I forgetting anything else? It was the screen, the music, the pyro. I feel like there was something else that was disrespectful to them that they were freaking out about.
I mean, they put the biggest disrespect is definitely they put their on their screen. They put their name in Comic Sans.
And they called them Max and Jeremy, a callback to their run in TNA. So honestly, this was really good. And I am enjoying the Bucks right now. This is what I've been calling for years. Like, put some thought into the character development. They're not just PWG's great tag team that'll give you a good pay-per-view match every couple months. This is something where someone had not been watching Dynamite ever, and they tuned in, and they'd be like, I want to see these guys get beat up, and I'm kind of entertained by them. I want to watch next week to see them. They're having fun. I mean, there are times during COVID and after where Matt and Nick look like that they resented having to get on an airplane to go to work and were bored and checked out. I'm not saying that's how they were. I'm saying that's what it looked like. They just didn't have that traction as characters, Griffin, and now they do, coming out of losing their EVP status. This is working well.
Yeah. It was a great match that they had at All In, and then it's been nothing but momentum after that. Brodino, the tag team that they faced, I always like Brody King. I don't know why you take Bandito and put him in a tag team. He's already your ROH champion. You've got so many people you need to develop. I'd rather see a different luchador. I hope it's not just because the name was the best.
Yeah, let's hope that's not why. I mean, there's some good chemistry there. Hopefully there is just sort of a reason they get along. There's chemistry that actually, I mean, to me, to give them a win over the Young Bucks means one of two things. Either Tony Khan wanted to just surprise people. Well, it can mean more than two things, but he wanted to surprise people. Hey, see, you can't always predict the outcome of these matches. All you people who complain about these 10, 15-minute matches where you know who's going to win in the end. It's more than that, because he also wanted to avoid a Bucks FTR matchup in the final. So he accomplished that. And it also could be a sign that they believe in Brodito as a team. I mean, I wince a little when I say the name because there's so many, of the merging of two names into one team name now. But if there's like a real life chemistry or affection that they have for each other and the contrasting styles, it can work. I like tag teams that are contrasting. I mean, one of the first tag teams I ever saw was Jesse the Body Ventura from the West Coast on the beach. And then there was Adrian Adonis, who was from Brooklyn and had the leather. And it was a really good contrasting team. And there's so many others over the years who have been contrasting in it.
The Odd Couple versus the Bookend. It's always been the two type of tag teams.
Exactly. And that's what we had here. So this is my fear, though, is he did it for some reasons, but they're not going to capitalize on it. To me, and I like the announcers reacting like it's a big deal, Griffin, but do you think it's going to be a sign of this is more about the Bucks losing, or is this also maybe as much or more, we believe in Brody and Bandito as a team, and this win is going to be something we don't let fade from memory. We did not spend a Young Bucks loss for no reason. That's what I want to see. I want to see this lead to Brody and Bandito getting a push.
I would say based on history, it's a little bit more about the Bucks. I mean, they just put them together as a tag team. The stories and this tag teams worked for this and got this win. And I also think it's, you didn't want a heel versus heel, finals at Forbidden Door with FTR and Young Bucks, a match we've seen a number of times. And I think that's a match that without a build, and they're both heels, I don't think the story would have been good.
Yeah. Yep. The conversation in the chat about the Bucks looking motivated. Dennis Klein says the Bucks look motivated for the first time in a long time. But he adds, we can all agree Brodito is a terrible name, right? Dougie Doug says Brody King is having a breakout year. Mark Bischetti says Decline 100% agreed on the Bucks looking motivated but talented. Put butts in seats made eventers. Nah. Where are you on that, Griffin? Are the Bucks making themselves more valuable to this company than they have been in a while?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to care. And I didn't care about the Bucks.
Yeah.
And man, he's right over my shoulder, but Andy Kaufman, one of the greatest heels ever. He was not talented as a wrestler.
Yep.
He was not the greatest, but man, he drew money because you wanted to see him get his ass kicked.
Yep.
And that's wrestling. Like you've got to have someone you want to see lose, and that makes money. Gorgeous George sold more TVs than any other wrestler, and that's what it was.
And the Bucks, the good part is when the bell rings, when the one, they can do their shenanigans and their heel act before the match, but they can do it during the match. But the match itself isn't just that; it is really good wrestling. There's some really good athleticism in that tag match. They had 2 commercial breaks in it. It was a long match, and I mean, Brody King provides a difference. He's a high-flying big man. There's some kind of, Samoa Joe, Cactus Jack defying his size aspects
tremendous
to him.
And underutilized, and I hope that's not a forever.
Exactly. And what you can do for somebody he's had fleeting moments where people said, is this going to be his chance? Continental Classic, that kind of thing. And then it doesn't happen, and then he kind of goes away, fades away. If he has a hot run with Bandito and a tag team, that can kind of reset people's the bar that's been lowered about, how high Brody King can go. They can kind of reset things to, okay, now he's a singles guy. He just got confidence and success as a tag team, and they can actually come out of this. I'm not rushing into it. I want it to be more than 2 months. I want it to be more than 4 months. I'll take more than 8 months as a team. Push them hard. If it works, you can augment as you go if you need to. And then when the time's right, maybe a year and a half from now, I don't know. You break him off when the booking scheme is right for him to get a singles push, then do that. And a hot tag team run and beating the Bucks can be the start of it. So, in the chat room is talking, is this more about the Bucks or Bandito and Brody? And Sadler Version 3 says, to me, this was more about the Young Bucks losing than Bandito winning. Wouldn't make sense for the Bucks to make a deep run in the tourney with the current gimmick. Totally agree. But when this tournament was booked, they could have put anyone against him to beat him. And is this just, it's the only team that's not doing anything. We'll give him a win, and it'll give FTR a good match. Hopefully it's more than that. I mean, I do hope that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think every time I hear Brody talk out of character, just Brody, the guy who plays Brody King, sometimes I wonder if he's just too nice to get a sustained push. Sometimes I think it takes a little bit of standing up for yourself backstage to get that push. So I hope he finds that. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and pause and introduce ourselves on the show, and then we'll move on to other topics on this episode of Dynamite. A bit of a comeback episode, as we talked about at the beginning of the show. This is a Wade Keller Pro Wrestling post show for Wednesday, August 6, 2025. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, and founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch weekly newsletter. Paper copy published and mailed to subscribers today. Of course, headline about John. It was normally there's like one headline and I have a sub headline that kind of has something secondary. I didn't know what to put up first. Is it Brock returning? Is it Cena turning face? Is it Cody regaining the title? Is it CM Punk cashing in but then getting stomped and losing and the cash in? I had to fit 4 major happenings in the paper copy headline this week. You can get a paper copy delivered to your home with a membership, a subscription, or with a VIP membership. You can read the PDF and all text copy of that. It includes Sean Radican's review of both nights of the show, newsletter exclusive, my TV reports, and more. Last week's newsletter, I don't know if I have it handy in front of me here, but it was all about, or so much of it was about Hulk Hogan, my 3-page obituary on him, and then as noted, my endnotes column, which got very personal, about my time as a fan. I might have been the first Hulkamaniac. I was maybe tied for first because I grew up watching the AWA when Hulk Hogan first became Hulk Hogan and the word Hulkamania was first used. As I said, Vince McMahon bought a finished product in Hulk Hogan. He hired away a finished product. Hulkamania was not something Vince McMahon created. It was something Vince McMahon amplified very successfully. But I wrote about being a fan and then also as a journalist talking to him, and I wrote about that too. So a lot comes with VIP membership. Go VIP. You are missing out if you are not. It's exclusive articles, access to that weekly newsletter that started it all back in the late 1980s, and ad-free website. Also access to hundreds of retro radio shows from the 90s. If you're into wrestling history and you want to see how wrestling was covered pre-internet, you have a chance to do it. My KFAN radio show that had a run for years in the early 90s is up with a live call-in format, special guests, big-name interviews, and just kind of fun reliving the news of the day that long ago, 3 decades plus ago. Also, many other radio shows from the 90s we have in our archives, plus over 2 decades of VIP podcasts on demand, roundtable reviews of over 2 decades of pro wrestling pay-per-views, WWE, TNA, AEW, and more. Some ROH ones in there too. And also a podcast feed that's compatible with the native Apple Podcast app. No advanced settings. You just click the link you get when you sign up in the email, and it automatically logs you in. and you can also customize your feed. So you have we have tons of shows, current ones, and some flashbacks and retro stuff, and you can customize your feed by show, by theme. It's a really slick setup. And a very really slick mobile-friendly site also that's ad-free. So anyway, check out details, pwtorch.com/govip. New shows throughout the week, including 9 straight days of Wade Keller Hotlines covering Hogan from a variety of different angles with a lot of special guests. More to come in that regard, too. Not every day, but we've got some other Hogan shows we're working on. SummerSlam weekend was so busy, I took a break from it. But we'll get back into covering more of Hogan's career, as in-depth as you'll find anywhere. But tonight, we're here to talk AEW Dynamite, and my special guest is Chris Griffin. He is a co-host tonight. He is a contributor to PWTorch, and he is also an entrepreneur who's very excited because Nerdstalgia is opening. Griffin, tell people about your contributions to the Torch and your new store, and your hobby, and your passion, I should say.
Yeah, so I write the top 5 column for the Torch weekly.
Part of our Hogan coverage.
2 weeks. The last 2 weeks has been Hogan coverage. So being kind of a nostalgia guy and an all-around nerd, media nerd, pop culture guy, top 5 movies, which may be a little bit of a stretch for top 5 movies from Hulk Hogan, but his movies were very important to pro wrestlers and the roles. Now, we're talking about Dynamite, and MJF had a big role as Adam Sandler's oldest son in Happy Gilmore 2. And part of that is thank you to Hulk Hogan for being the first one to cross over. So with the nostalgia, with the look back, with the nerd knowledge, I am stepping out and opening. So we've been doing Nerdstalgia has been a company where you could order something online or meet me at a Comic-Con, but it'll officially be a retail store in Colorado Springs. So if you're in Colorado, come check us out at the Citadel Mall in Colorado Springs. And if you're a Colorado wrestler and want to chat with me, we carry indie wrestler merchandise. So a great way to put your merchandise out there. You get to make a promo sheet to put next to your product to tell people about your YouTube, your socials, and websites to where you're going to be and where you're going to work. So, and a lot of things going on there. And being a wrestling guy, definitely the largest wrestling section in any retail store you're going to find in Colorado.
Awesome. Well, good luck with that. Grand opening coming up next week. And let's see, what day of the week is it going to open?
Soft opening the 15th. So we will be open every day but Monday, starting August 15th, a week from Friday.
Awesome. Well, good luck with that. And
thank you.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, a destination for wrestling fans and nerds of all types everywhere.
Yeah.
Check it out. All right, cool. Let's give out just a couple notes on how you can participate in the show right now if you're watching us live. You can email the show, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. You don't have to watch the show live to participate. If you watch Dynamite, but you can't watch the post-show live, you're going to watch us later on YouTube or download our podcast on our podcast feed. Search Wade Keller in your podcast app if you haven't yet. Subscribe to both the red and blue logo shows to catch all the shows I host, and then search PWTorch to subscribe to the Daily Cast and the PWTorch VIP free sample feed. 4 feeds. Wade Keller gets you 2, and PWTorch gets you 2 others. Subscribe to them all if you haven't. But if that's how you consume our shows, but you watch wrestling live, you can still contribute to the show with that email. wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. You can also send in questions on anything throughout the week, and we'll include them on the flagship. Less often lately, but we have done dedicated mailbag shows. So if we get enough emails, we can certainly do a special bonus show. So you are invited and encouraged to rant, rave, ask questions, suggest topics at that email. If you're watching us live, the best way to participate is in the chat. I don't know if it's the best. It's one of the ways to participate is in the chat, and we keep an eye on that throughout the show. Highlight the links during our live stream, and we appreciate that very much, everybody. It's a great environment, a positive environment, and we appreciate everyone who set the tone for that during our year here on YouTube. And then also you can be a live video caller if you are a VIP member or Patreon supporter. You can find a link to call us up. You can be a caller either with your camera on or off. You can just do an audio only call like our Blog Talk Radio days for over a decade before we moved to YouTube. And you can also be on camera if you want. So look for that link on our Patreon page and also in my TV report on Dynamite and also on Raw and SmackDown each week at PWTorchVIP.com. All right. I think that covers what we need to cover in terms of kind of the business, technical, procedural side of things. So let's get back to Dynamite. Griffin, talk about the main event tonight. MJF and Mark Briscoe. Maybe we should I was going to say the Hurt Syndicate segment is kind of interesting. A follow-up on an angle that I think was part of why I think I and others were kind of down on Dynamite the last couple of weeks, because we had this weird breakup out of nowhere. It felt rushed, like there was a change in plans for how this, I mean, the build-up to get MJF into Hurt Syndicate seemed to go on for 3-4 months. I'm exaggerating, but it felt that way. And then just when it got going, it's just like suddenly they don't like MJF because he has an ego and he's annoying. Well, they should have known that. Did you like how they handled it tonight? In terms of, okay, it's clear it felt sudden. We need to hear from MVP at least, who is a supporter of MJF. Why? Did they, even if they're escaping something early for some reason, I think they helped things this week. It's still, they didn't fix it, but they helped it seem less scattershot. What do you think? Yeah.
One of my criticisms of AEW is often how quickly they move through a storyline. It's like you're getting the abbreviated version and you're moving from chapter to chapter to chapter very quickly without any of the detail or the story or why things are happening. And I often wonder, is it that? Or, I mean, MJF was never a great fit for the Hurt Syndicate. Like, he doesn't have the athletic background that Bobby and Shelton have. It's not the same way. He's more of the he's an athletic version of Jim Cornette that got in because of connections, and he's the spoiled guy that always gets his way. He's not the same type of character as the Hurt Syndicate. So it was always an awkward fit. So are they just bailing early because it wasn't working? And I don't know. It just seems like they are bailing early. But as far as tonight, yeah, I mean, it helped explain things, and for MVP to say, yeah, I mean, they're sick of you. I see it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. I think I need to be asked in 6 weeks, or I'll talk about it in 6 weeks. Like, when I see why they did it, do we look back and go, oh, we were wrong to think it was rushed. This actually kind of was paced a certain way for some sort of, as I often ask these days, to what ends? I said about Seth faking an injury. To what ends? What did he gain from it? He didn't really gain anything from it. They couldn't even point to anything he gained from it. But it's just to fool the internet, I guess, and that's how we book now. With MJF and Hurt Syndicate, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like they changed their mind because they had a better idea, or something happened where they felt they needed to. But maybe not. Maybe in 6 weeks we look back and go, oh, they needed them together, but the timing of breaking them up had to be that way. They knew it was going to be rushed. They did their best with it, but really when we look at the timeline and how things were executed, there was no way around it. All's well that ends well, and it worked out. So we'll see. I mean, but it doesn't change the fact that it felt sort of out of nowhere and sudden and a little jarring. But I did think tonight, at least they paid the audience the respect to have MJF and MVP, the two people in favor of him joining the group consistently all along, MVP explaining why, and MJF looking frustrated. And then, we'll see where we go from there. But so MJF and Mark Briscoe, main event match. I one of the reasons I like Dynamite tonight, not just because they're in front of a bigger crowd and the Young Bucks were entertaining and there was a good amount of good wrestling, and they forwarded some storylines and all that. I just thought structurally it was really well balanced. Like, the video packages were well done. I have been calling for, it feels like years, the Don Callis family to stand in the ring together for a promo so we can kind of see them together and they can establish who they are and not just take for granted people know or care. And we got an in-ring promo, more sexually suggestive between Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis than Tony Storm has been in recent weeks, all the way to whatever was happening with Kyle Fletcher and that microphone at the end, and that painting, my God. So they put time into it. They put thought into it, and they had fun, but it was I mean, I think people want to see Fletcher and Callis get beat up after that. And so Structure. I don't want to talk about every segment and breeze through all of them rapid fire. We'll hit on some of those in more depth, but structurally, I really liked the video packages, the promos, everything built to the main event, and the segments that they did that weren't live in the ring enhanced what was happening. And I didn't really have any big gripe when I'm thinking about the show. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, I got to bring this up. Do I want to lead with it or wait till a half hour in? But I didn't really have anything that's standing out to me. And the build to the main event, going kind of full circle on why I'm bringing this up, was really strong. We didn't have the Mark Briscoe promo, which would have been nice, but we had a video package. We had an MJF promo that was more dealing with other things, and a full-fledged main event with a finish that was better than WWE. A win for MJF, but controversial. But he didn't cheat. He just sort of accepted the happenstance of the ref oddly missing the foot on the rope. So Griffin, talk about any of that. Yeah,
I noted that was a great way for MJF to win a match. Great way to give him a win that made him look like he was credible, and he beat him. MJF beat Briscoe, that is, but he didn't. Like, there was a way out. It wasn't clean. You could come back to it. Yep. I thought, it was a great match where you weaved MJF in and out enough where he felt like the star of the show. Wasn't overkill. It wasn't Austin in the 90s where every segment, in between every commercial, you put the main guy in. But if you want to make a main guy, you've got to show him a couple of times. And I thought they did a great job with that, and great timing with the buzz that hopefully comes with his movie role and people wanting to see more of who he is. The only thing that I would like to see with the Callis family being together is Okada in the family or not. The video package was well done, and that was Callis's voice doing the package. And I like the sports presentation, Okada. I like the building him as a legend and giving him a big fight feel. So the video package was great. But how connected is he to Don Callis at this point? If you're going to have Callis doing the video packages still, it wasn't just for the Kenny match. Like, is he in? But I don't want to take the spotlight away from Fletcher, because Fletcher's their future. He's incredible.
Yeah, sometimes it just is Okada around. I still am missing that Don Callis promo going into Okada Omega. I mean, the point of Callis managing him just kind of felt lost when that wasn't there. Back to Briscoe and MJF in the finish for a moment. I think Briscoe, he lost for some reason. This didn't feel like a trapdoor cop out, typical lame, cowardly booking finish. Even though it kind of hit some of the bullet points, it just felt fresh.
It was a bad call.
Yeah,
it was just a bad call, and that happens in football games and basketball games all the time.
Yep. And so what you have is, MJF gets a win that he can overbrag about, even though it shouldn't count. Had the ref seen it, it shouldn't count. He'll overbrag about it. Briscoe can not complain about it, because, that's like Drew McIntyre's gimmick. Just complain so much about things that are true that people start resenting you, even though you're speaking the truth. And so, Briscoe can kind of brush, just go, well, there's missed calls. I'll get over it. I'll fight him again and be a good sport about it. I mean, the booking, the intent of it was protect Briscoe, have MJF, who's already established as a top guy, get the win he needs without it defining down Mark Briscoe. So I get why they did it that way. And yeah, I mean, and I liked MJF kind of looking like, wait, his foot's on the rope. Oh, okay. I'll just accept this. I'm okay with this, even though,
and I love the way he played it.
Win. Yep.
He didn't overplay it.
Yep.
But he sold it with his face, and it registered, and we all got it. We didn't even beat over the head with it. Great way to tell us to finish.
Yeah. And the match quality was good. They built around the flying elbow, and then, MJF rolls out of the way when he finally seems like he's got him right where he needs him at ringside through the table. I thought it was a solid match with two guys who like working together and have good chemistry in the ring. I thought the Briscoe, I guess there was a Briscoe promo. What was it interrupted by? Oh, it was Hangman. That's why I was like, oh, there wasn't a Briscoe promo. There was. So I stand corrected. But it was more about Hangman talking to Mark about what he hopes happens and if he sees him later. So even that added some. I think when a booker of the format of the show invests in a match that isn't going to actually happen right away, and it makes it seem like it was an option on the table by dedicating time to it. So by having Hangman talk about, hey, if I face you, if you win, I'll face you. That made it seem more realistic that Briscoe would win, even though he typically has been a level below MJF and kind of the totem pole, the pecking order of the company. And I thought that was a worthwhile segment to, in an not a stealth way, but whether you're thinking about the booking or not, you watch that and you start imagining Briscoe winning and then what happens. And I think that's smart to do it. I don't come from the school of don't get people excited about a match you're not going to deliver on. I come from the school of you don't know. Everything about the show should convey you don't know who's going to win, even though you do. The show should convey you don't. So of course you're going to talk about all possibilities.
Yeah. So MJF, one thing, he's got the CMLL title now. And did we know that he was getting a shot at that CMLL title? Like, again, that's your big star.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't we have known, like, build up the fact that our star is going to be getting a title match at this event? Again, it's kind of an out of nowhere something on MJF, which I think it's a great fit. I think it's the right move, but I like the story. I like the build.
I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, I like what I want to do or don't want to do is not the guiding force of what I do. But like, I don't want to talk about more belts being like. I think the AEW ecosystem should talk about their title belts. You know, Mercedes Moné. It's like a laugh line. Oh, look at all the belts that she handed to the referee to hold. I mean, I just think it's not just diminishing returns. I think it actually is a net big negative to have wrestlers even showing up with belts from around the world. And I know there's people who push back because they like that AEW acknowledges wrestling everywhere. And
I'm kind of in that camp a little bit more than you are, I think. It sounds like, but I do think it's overkill. You know, as a kid, when Conan came in with the AAA championship, and he was not called the AAA champion, but he was called the Mexican heavyweight champion. Mm-hmm. And when Ultimo Dragon came in and had the J Crown, I like that recognition, but there were two examples, not multiple examples.
Yeah. I think the idea that wrestlers in your company travel the world and wrestle and are big enough stars to win titles is fine. And I think overkill is a good word, and that can be the compromise. Let's just not do it to the degree we do. What makes wrestling fans feel good about the acknowledgement that there's wrestling outside of the company you're watching and that the company is acknowledging it. What makes fans feel good is one thing, and I'm not discounting it makes people feel good and that makes them in favor of it, but I don't think it's best for business. I just don't. I ultimately, I don't think it's like all bad. I mean, obviously, there's some positive where fans like when a wrestling company acknowledges that there's more wrestling than just what goes on Dynamite and Collision and on the pay-per-views. But my issue is, I think even with that positive, there's a greater negative, which is you have wrestlers who seem like they're content at times winning a title other than the world title. And so there's sort of like trinkets for everybody, titles for everybody. And it just waters down what it means to be world champion, especially when you call it a world title. Like if you call a title from another organization a world title on your own show, let those people call it the world title on their show. But don't call it a world title on your show.
The WWE does not call the TNA championship a world heavyweight championship. It's a TNA title.
And there shouldn't be a AAA world title. They shouldn't call it world title. Same with tag titles. So I just don't think a lot of thought's put into it. I think Tony Khan comes from the school of thought of Vince McMahon bad because he wanted a closed ecosystem because he didn't feel like it was his job. And part of it came from how much money he was paying to put his TV show in other markets. I mean, he was paying for syndicated TV in these major markets to buy the good time slots. He didn't feel like his obligation was to honor all the other companies that he didn't make money from. He thought his job is to promote his own product. I'm not going to, I don't own a Target, but I hand out flyers for what's on sale at Walmart. But obviously wrestling fans look at it differently. Not a businessman. They see wrestling as a larger worldwide community. And so wrestling fans have their perspective. I don't think a promoter should pander to that at the expense of his titles being the biggest draws they can be. And it's a little ridiculous to have MJF show up and not provide context to why there's this title he's holding, and he's holding it, and it's kind of like Rock showing up with a Brahma Bull title. It's like everybody just like shows up with a belt and you don't know why, and just focus on what matters in AEW. That's what's going to help you sell tickets.
Well, it was also how they handed the WWE one of their hottest women's stars. I mean, Stephanie McCool had a match because she was promoted as coming in from another company, and whoever saw that match in WWE said, "We want her."
Yep. Well, in the chat, Derek Mitchell says, Tony Khan is Thanos. He wants to display all the belts. Scott TPA says, I hate seeing so many belts from outside the company. Sadler Version 3 says, even WWE's doing belt overload now. I can't even make fun of AEW for it. Well, you still can, but you should say WWE's equally at fault. Or also at fault now. I wouldn't say equally, but
yeah.
So, but yeah, just some context. And part of it is sort of the chip on my shoulder, and I think a lot of people's shoulders about, you should just know. It's your job to do homework. Watch all this stuff during the week. If your top guy wins a big title, it's either newsworthy enough to bring up and really make a big deal out of before it happens and after, or don't have him show up with the belt. I don't know. Not a huge deal, but
I do think our guy, MJF, is going to CMLL and is getting a shot at their title.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they've been doing, whether it's CMLL and AEW and even MLW, they've been doing the crossover with him and Mystico and him stealing the mask. And it's going to come down to a Mystico MJF match where Mystico takes the belt, I would presume. I don't know.
Well, and the thing is, they didn't talk about, and the thing is, MJF won the CMLL World Light Heavyweight Championship. And they don't want to talk about him winning a light heavyweight championship. I think that could be part of it too. He just wants a belt. Like that's, it's like when Rock shows up and he's, Sadler Version 3 says, I don't mind Rock doing it because it was douchey of his character to wear a belt like that, like it was real. LOL. I don't think he meant for it to be douchey, by the way, but I think a lot of people interpreted it that way.
MJF means to be douchey.
Yes, very, very much so. And Sadler Version 3 says, I don't mind WWE and AEW acknowledging other titles and companies, but defending it on their own TV is too far, in my opinion. And Derek Mitchell adds, Tony Khan is like Oprah. You get a belt. You get a belt. You get a belt. That is such a dated reference now, and I don't like saying that because it doesn't feel like just yesterday, but
it was me with my action figures as a kid, though, saying this guy needs a title and this guy needs a title and this guy needs a title. So this is this championship and that championship. And sometimes it does feel a little like AEW's booking.
I have said AEW's booking sometimes feels like a fourth grader who goes, wouldn't it be cool if? Wouldn't it be cool if? And there's nothing wrong with being a fourth grader with cool ideas, but when you're a grown-up wrestling promoter trying to make money, or a grown-up wrestler, keep your eye on the ball.
I wrote my own booking ideas and had tournaments and titles as a kid too. I bet none of those would have made any money.
Yep. Going back to Kyle Fletcher now for a minute. And Don Callis, I joked, they played up the sexual innuendo in a way that Tony Storm does.
A lot of extra testosterone, I think, is what Taz said.
In
the picture. They've been gearing up loading up on the testosterone, it looks like.
For people who didn't see it, Don Callis unveiled a painting that he said he worked on, all week or for weeks. And it was of him and Kyle Fletcher. And of course, Don Callis was shirtless with a body that looked like it could be in the WBF back in the day. Kyle Fletcher was naked. Except for a strategically placed title belt painted over his waist and crotch. But the build up to it is, you want me to take it off? You want to see it? You want me to take it off? You want to see it? Oh, I so badly want to see it. Take it off. I mean, they were just totally playing it up. And then Fletcher does this, microphone fellatio basically at the end, talking about he's going to have a long reign. So they were having fun with
the combined with the tiniest of pink tights that he's been wearing and the pink glasses, and man, he is pushing all the buttons.
Yeah, and they're trying to get laughs, but I think they're trying to, get heat too. We'll see how this goes. Yeah. But I am all for, generically speaking, Don Callis and Kyle Fletcher I want them to be in the Don Callis, Kyle Fletcher business. It's back when Kenny Omega was a heel with Don Callis. I want them to be the Bobby Heenan, Nick Bockwinkel of AEW. That's what I wanted Kenny and Callis to be, and they had glimpses of it, but not consistently. Looks like Callis and Fletcher have a chemistry. They're thinking through stuff ahead of time. And yeah, I want to see every segment look like hours of thought was put into it, not just someone winging it or putting 2 seconds of thought because they're getting paid either way. And a lot of times AEW, including Don Callis, felt like they're just kind of winging it. This felt like they put some time into it. And again, if you have a top heel faction and you have a title change and you're basically ending the career of Dustin Rhodes, and you want to brag about that and make a big deal out of it. Part of the problem is there's just so many belts, it doesn't feel like as big of a deal as it should. But I thought that segment made the TNT title and the beginning of Fletcher's reign mean something. And I think people want to see Kyle Fletcher lose the title, but I think he's also coming across as a star you want to pay to see because he's really talented and on an upward trajectory.
Yeah, it was something I noted was I hope he's not going to get the curse of the TNT title, because the TNT title, I've always thought it was ugly to slap a corporate logo that's not your corporate logo on the belt anyway. And it's a TNT title that's defended on TBS sometimes and pay-per-view other times. And with the exception of Christian, I don't know if anybody's ever carried that title and made it mean anything since the original Cody Rhodes run.
Yeah. I think Fletcher can. I think
I hope so.
Yeah, part of the problem with Adam Cole is obviously he just was having issues. And some of the people they had, it was sort of the belt was supposed to give them a boost. And in this case, I think Fletcher can get a boost from the belt, but the belt can get a boost from him. I think there can be synergy. He's got essentially an open challenge. I don't think they announce his opponent. He says whoever steps up, I'll beat him, and it'll be a long line of I want to be the greatest TNT champion ever. Make big proclamations, but also follow up on it. It can be a draw on Collision if you make that essentially the Collision TV title. And I've always been an advocate for whatever the equivalent of your TV title is in your promotion. Yeah, and you should have I'm open challenges are okay, but I'd prefer every other week have two wrestlers wrestle who have been deemed by the championship committee, the top two contenders, have some back plan 2 months ahead so that there's an explanation for why they're the two facing off. The winner gets a shot the next week. Whoever wins that, presumably Fletcher for a while, then he gets a week off and he sits at ringside or watches from the skybox. Two other wrestlers battle to get a shot. On occasion, you do rematches because there's a controversial finisher or it's a draw or whatever. Just do an every other week format, and I honestly think that can be a draw. If you have the right person with the belt, and Fletcher, I think, is the right person with Callis being with him. But that means Callis has to go to Collision every week and be there for him. I don't, so.
Well, the title can always mean more in the way it's carried. Christian Cage showed us that. But you have your idea, you throw in 10-minute time limits and Steven Regal being pinned and the bell ringing at 2, and you've got WCW Saturday Night there, Wade.
Yes. Yep. Derek Mitchell says, how about Callis, Fletcher, and Takeshita being a trio like Nick Bockwinkel, Ray Stevens, and Bobby Heenan? Leave it to Derek to bring Ray Stevens into the conversation also, the historian in the chat. Ramen Noodle
says the most underrated piece of talent they have.
And him work in Japan a lot. There's reasons he's
English language barrier. He's still underrated.
Yep. And he can be the guy who unseats Kyle Fletcher 14 months from now. They could really make that matter. They could really make that matter in the fall of 2026. And I think they should play longbow with that stuff. Have fun in the meantime, but really make it mean something. We see how that happened with Gunther and Roman Reigns. You can have long title reigns, and I think it pays dividends in the end if you have that kind of patience. And Fletcher's somebody who I think would get a boost from being able to have that kind of bragging right. And it basically, tonight's promo set me up for it. So for a long and successful and historically significant prestige boosting for both the belt and him title reign. So we'll see. And then if Takeshita there's many ways you can tell the story, but if he ends up beating Fletcher, that can be a real turning point. Ramen Noodle adds, by the way, Darby, Jack Perry, and Powerhouse Hobbs TNT runs were fun. So a few other, and then Derek
I just think they need to be longer to matter.
They were the best. I'm sorry, Griffin?
Those just need to be longer to matter.
Yep. And honestly talked about on Dynamite more. In some case, or I'm sorry, like the collision only reigns feel like if it's not important enough vortex. To mention more than in passing, it really undercuts the title seeming important. I mean, so much is the lip service you pay it.
Yeah, I should know. Dynamite should show me who your TNT champion is before I know who the CMLL champion is.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Okay, they opened with John Moxley and Speedball Mike Bailey. They gave a little story. I think Moxley barged into the production meeting and said he wanted a match, and then Tony Khan went to locker room, said who wants it. Speedball raised his hand. Boom, match is on. They worked 14 minutes. This is also one of the reasons I like this episode of Dynamite. I like Speedball being the babyface who is eager and ready to step up against
babyface.
Yes, and he's like, yes, Moxley won. Oh, go ahead, Griffin.
He's wrestling's version of George St. Pierre with a mullet. He's like a super nice French Canadian guy. I like that. I saw him on AEW, which got to put that show over. I love RJ City's AEW show.
Yep.
And him being on there, I really saw the connection in the two.
Yep. And he's a tag wrestler, so he can afford. He can afford to lose to Moxley either way. Anybody can afford to lose to Moxley. Moxley's a top world champion level guy, but it's not going to hurt him as a tag team to go 14 minutes with Moxley. And normally, this is an AEW formula we criticize, and somehow they made it work tonight. Where the outcome, but you almost bought in.
Yeah.
And I think Brodito.
That's what an underdog babyface should do.
Yeah, and I think Brodito beating the Young Bucks, and
probably meant more.
Well, what I'm kind of trying to find the words for is it came in the wrong order. Because it would have given more hope. But it validates in future weeks having hope that somebody who isn't pushed and isn't the top star can actually, you can have hope for them. And that's something AEW needs to do more often.
AEW's done it well. The follow-up isn't always great, but Action Andrade, what a debut against Jericho he had.
Yeah.
So, having even a job guy win a match, AEW's done before. It's all the follow-up.
I think the lesson there was get to know somebody a little better, have them have a connection with the crowd before you gift them a win over a legend. His promo the next week was terrible, and he's telling men, tell your woman needs to know her place, and he was a babyface, and it was just like an eye-rolling, push-crushing revelation about how unready he was for a live microphone. But that said, he was super exciting, and I mean the spirit of the intent of it was good. But yeah, get to know your people are going to score those upsets a little bit first. So you have Brodito winning. Fans are going to remember that, and they're going to be like, I can't be as sure about. It's like the Royal Rumble, Jey Uso. You can't rule out somebody who's who's an unlikely person to win. They've established that. You don't do it all the time, but you got to do it periodically, so it adds some suspense to matches like Moxley Speedball. Same thing with Briscoe and MJF. It's not quite as lopsided, but MJF did win, but it was a foot on the ropes. It wasn't I'm better than him. It was I'm a little bit lucky. So Speedball and Moxley specifically was just a lot of fun. I mean, and Speedball, like you said, George St. Pierre, but like with even extra exuberance. He can afford to be a little more exuberant because GSP had to worry about getting knocked out for real. But one of the little things I really liked in this match is Speedball. So Speedball was set. Well, two things now that I think about it. Moxley raked his eyes early in the match, and Speedball looked like speaking of UFC, Randy Couture's eyelid got torn off at the beginning of that. Not Rampage Jackson. Anyway, I have the picture of him in my head. I have Hoist Gracie. Other names coming into my mind. It'll come to me in a minute. But he was selling that for a while where I was like, man, did he really get his eye? So I like the long-term selling. That's built into how we tell stories in wrestling matches forever. And I like that he kept selling it, hopefully. And he seemed fine later, so I think it was just selling. So he's at ringside selling, and then Shafir sweeps his leg and knocks him down as Moxley distracted the ref. So Kevin Knight comes out and goes, hey, wait a second, not going to let you keep doing this. So the babyface doesn't come out except when it feels like he needs to in order to offset interference. So Speedball recovered during this time period that Kevin Knight and Moxley jawed at each other. And so Moxley turns back to the ring just in time for Speedball to dive on him. And so what I liked about it is that shows how you can do a dive at ringside where you don't have the moment where someone is standing there waiting to catch him. And as you see them coming, you could do Samoa Joe's bit of moving out of the way, but nobody does because it's exciting to see someone dive on someone. I like that little attention to detail that Moxley did, which is I'm not going to stand there and wait for you to jump on me. That looks stupid. So I'm going to turn around and you're going to hit me. Our timing's going to be just right. And it was. So in that sense, it was like
difference between a top guy. A top guy just has those instincts.
Yeah. Well, I would even push back and say there's too many top guys who don't. I mean, it's a Moxley Speedball thing when they're working out the match. They put some extra thought into trying to make something look real that can be made to look more real if you put some thought into it. And I'm glad that they did. And it shows it can be done. I mean, it's just like, and it's so much more satisfying watching when you're not watching wrestlers clearly cooperate for an exciting spot. So credit to them. And I thought they told a good story at Darby because obviously this match, let's be honest, wasn't yes, it was a showcase for Speedball a bit, but it was meant to fill 15 minutes of TV time with a good match, give Moxley a win, but primarily it was a backdrop to involve Darby. Yeah. And they told us
great place for Speedball to be. If I was Speedball, I'd love to have that be. I'll take the pin.
Yes.
And then but he's not the main character right now.
There's no shame in being there's no shame in being a mid relief pitcher. Like I mean you got to be good at. There's jobs for everybody, and you have different skill sets and landing places. But what was nice is they told the story from the very beginning because Moxley was looking around paranoid, like where could Darby be? And the announcers pointed it out early in the match. And then all the way through, Darby showing up, little contrived that he was in range of where Yuta would be standing. How did he know Yuta would be there? I guess he kind of know where Moxley and Yuta come through the crowd. I guess you could come up with. Yeah. It's not as egregious as some. And he drags him out of the ring, and then after the match is over, first thing Moxley does, heel but loyal friend, wants to go find his buddy Yuta, goes looking for him, and he and Shafir find him in a body bag, which is Darby's gimmick, in a parking lot, and unzip him, and he's got a sign that says Forbidden Door. So I thought, again, you had a good match. You had an underdog who you kind of thought might pull out an upset, but it was exciting to watch, and you like to see him at least give it to Moxley. And then you had this storyline weaved into it that led to now a challenge. Griffin, talk about that.
Yeah, sorry. Set me up one more time. Another thought.
Just the use of how they promoted Darby.
Yeah.
Building up this Darby Moxley match.
So it's a little comic booky, which I love because comics and wrestling are the same thing. He's the guy that he had the spidey sense. He did know right where to be, and he knew right when to pick them off when nobody else would be looking. And he picked his shots, and obviously using the Sting rub to have that where he's in the rafters up and you never know right where he's going to be. I love that he's selling it. Moxley, it's part of his matches now, that whoever he's wrestling, he's going to be a little distracted because Darby's going to be somewhere in the arena. They're not quite sure where that is.
Yep. And Darby, you talk about the Sting thing, and they don't want to lean. There's a nostalgia to it. They were partners, and you can kind of replay that in a way. You don't want to look like you're just some derivative nostalgia show, but I think Darby's put his own spin on it in a way that works.
Very well, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just the rub, and he gets to be that. Sting was never a supernatural character, but he was the creepy, dark vengeance character, and it's a good spot for Darby.
Yeah. Let's go to an email, cover some other topics, and add to some things we've already talked about. JB from Detroit, reliable with some topic suggestions and questions here. Is there any chance we get an MJF Hangman Briscoe triple threat at any point in the immediate future? MJF seems to be deeply intertwined with both this, and this could be used as a way to prolong or extend MJF Hangman, which obviously takes precedence. So the foot on the rope isn't just protecting Briscoe from being sort of buried or being so firmly established underneath MJF, but also giving MJF a win where he didn't cheat, although I don't think there'd be a problem with MJF cheated to win.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you have a ref screwing up. You could make the case it should be a triple threat or a three-way. I'm not going to vote for it, but I'm not ruling out that possibility, Griffin.
Yeah. The only thing is, I don't understand the story of MJF wanting a title shot when he's got a title shot. He's holding his title shot, and he could take it whenever he wanted to and just become the champion. Like, why does he feel like he needs a title shot to win a match and then has his title shot that he can cash in? So I don't know why you would go to title shots before MJF can be sneaky, be underhanded, and use the contract. So I guess I'm just not understanding why that is where they're going right now with him wanting a title shot not associated with the one he's already earned.
Well, that's JB's next point. So great unplanned lead in here. JB says, I'm pushing back into your point from last week's Dynamite post show a bit, Wade. It seems as though you were critiquing AEW about having a derivative Money in the Bank gimmick with the casino gauntlet winners and the clipboards. But then you also say AEW isn't, quote, getting the Money in the Bank gimmick with MJF having the contract but trying to earn a title shot while also having the title shot guarantee as his backup plan. That seems a bit contradictory to me. I understand not wanting the gimmick in AEW at all, but if I capitulate to the idea that they're going to do one, I'm happy they're taking a different approach to it with MJF. So my issue, well, two things. One, and he notes that it was Jericho's idea. It doesn't matter whose idea it was originally. It is a WWE well-established gimmick, and AEW is doing a version of it that doesn't predate WWE doing it. It's not an institution in pro wrestling that WWE just is one of many who did, and it's up for grabs for everybody. And I think AEW as a challenger brand wants to look like they have original ideas and not copy them, especially when it's a beat up metal clipboard. It's also convoluted, even in that JB's question, Griffin. It comes across as convoluted, trying to even explain what's going on. MJF is going, I want to earn a title shot rather than cash in my title shot, and
which he earned.
Yeah. So
it's like Bully Ray made the case the other day on Busted Open that when you earn the Money in the Bank, you've won the world title. You're just choosing when to take the belt. Like, you earned that title shot. You went through hell to say, I get to be world champion. Yeah, maybe you get to sneak and take the belt the way you want to, but it wasn't an unearned championship.
Yes, and I used to defend it with some qualifications using that exact logic more than a decade ago on podcasts. That, yeah, it's not the cheapest way to win a world title because you have to go through a grueling ladder match to earn it. Mm-hmm. And so it is, I think Bully Ray put it well. It is something you earn, but you cash in on a delayed basis. The critique of it, though, is it's an absurd way for the reigning champion to lose. So the person who wins it earns it, but the champion didn't. For a champion to lose the title in a context that has nothing to do with the skill set that it takes to become champion and defend it successfully in regular matches, that's the problem I have with it. Is it makes sort of a mockery of ending title reigns, because you're not, as a Money in the Bank if you Money in the Bank briefcase holder, you cash it in, you're not beating the champion, you're beating a beat up champion. Like, so
that's where I'd like to see AEW be different than with their version of this.
Yeah,
because you earn a title shot and you can call your place and say, hey, I'm cashing it in tonight. You don't have a champion, you don't have a match tonight. So or hey, cancel the match you think you have. I'm cashing this in tonight, but not after you've had the match and you're bloody and all over the place. You've had a grueling match. Now I take my belt. I'd love to see AEW do it differently.
Yeah, and that is absolutely, Griffin, a way they can make it different. Just say you gotta give 2-week notice at least for a match. Not even, or I mean, you could say you have to announce it at the beginning of the show. There has to be at least 1 hour notice or something like that.
You can't do it when a wrestler is in the middle of a match.
Yep. Or you can't do it after they wrestle.
Has had a match or after they wrestle. It has to be before the bell rings on a match. You can cancel the match.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Put your own spin on it.
Have a match that people don't really care about and go, nope, that's not your match tonight. I'm your match tonight.
Yep. So, and pushback to JB's, one of the criticisms or the convoluted aspect of this is MJF has a title shot, but he wants to earn another one. Sadler version 3 says, I think Wade would like this comp. It's like someone in Survivor having 2 immunity idols instead of 1. Why stick with 1 when you can have 2? And yes, that is what MJF wants. He wants to eat his cake and still have a plate with cake on it. Like he wants to have two chances. It comes across as convoluted because it's you don't have anyone else kind of explaining what he's up to. Like,
can he win can he get a match, win the title, keep the contract, so when he loses the title, he cashes in and gets his title right back? Like, that's an option.
Yes, and they could talk about that MJF wants to hold on to this. He wants to earn, and I was looking for an analogy, and the immunity is a good one. You want to cash in, you want to win the title, but then, as you said, within the time frame of it before it expires, if it's a 1-year situation, if you happen to lose the title, you want a chance to win it back. And maybe that's what happens. Like, what if, and let's say he hadn't broken up with Hurt Syndicate. Let's say MJF beats Hangman and wins the title. Then Hangman gets a rematch. Hangman beats him clean. Hurt Syndicate come out, attack. And this is for illustrative purposes. There's many ways you can do this, or Wardlow shows up again. I don't care, but just beats the crap out of Hangman Page for 8 minutes, and then MJF goes to ringside and goes clipboard, and he cashes in and beats him. That might be roughly where they're going with this. They want MJF to win the title, and then the other option too. By the way, you don't have to go that far. MJF loses to Hangman. Normally, a challenger who loses, they go to the back with their head hanging, but instead, there's an attack on him, on Hangman, and MJF cashes in and then actually wins. Now, you could also have him cash in and lose. He can lose twice in one night, too, and throw a fit over it. There's all kinds of options here. So, again, I don't say it to punch. I have strong opinions on things, but I try when fair and when called for to make sure I say my opinion now is without full context of where they're going. And, Griffin, this could ultimately make sense, but part of evaluating it isn't just does it make sense later, is does it feel convoluted or confusing or counterproductive the way they present it along the way? And I think they could be doing a little bit better job, or a substantially better job, having the announcers go, MJF is trying to earn a title shot and keep the cash-in title shot, or whatever they want to call it. In the meantime, he wants to have the best of both worlds, and that's actually a smart strategy.
Yeah.
You know? And also he might come up, anyway, there's lots of ways this could go. Okay, Sadler version 3 says, I wish a heel would use the Money in the Bank or this AEW contract cash in ahead of time on the biggest show of the year, like All In, and say they want to have their title shot promoted for more money. So you pick your city, pick your date, pick the show. That can add to it. All right, JB says the Speedball Mox match seemed to really have the crowd engaged, which is a good sign. I wouldn't have minded if they gave Speedball the surprise upset win here with the Darby angle as an excuse for Mox, like Darby's in Mox's head. It could have really given Speedball some positive momentum. Would you have liked that, Griffin, or is that too much, especially with Bucks losing later? Is that too much? Or
I think that'd be too much tonight, and I think Speedball save the win for when it's going to matter.
Yep, because he's in a good tag team with Kevin Knight. They can do a better job with that.
But, you don't want it to be the action Andrade of he won and now he's not winning.
Exactly. Yep. Back to JB. I really like the Tony Storm, Alex Windsor dynamic. I hope this is something they continue to explore moving forward. If the rumors are true and TK creates a women's tag team title, like it or not, and Storm drops her title to Athena at Forbidden Door, Storm and Windsor would be a great option as the first women's tag team champions. I can see that happening. What do you think of women's tag titles, Griffin?
Tony Storm's a one-woman act, though.
Yeah.
Tony Storm and Paul Heyman legitimately are my two favorite things in wrestling.
Yeah.
So women's tag team titles. Can we have a tag team division first? Like, I would be more prone to making the tag team division intergender than I would like having another title, because I just don't think they've. And as a fan of tag team wrestling, it's so hot and cold when tag team titles matter and tag teams are hot and there's more in the division. So you have to have enough teams to matter, not wrestlers thrown together. So women's tag team divisions, I think we're still sadly far away from that being able to happen, because you've got to have a reason. You've got to have the stories. You can still have women's tag matches and develop tag teams and people to get along as they're developing their journey as a wrestler, and they just want to be in a tag team and win some matches and gain some experience for when they break off and go solo, or when there's a tag, maybe there will be a tag division someday. We don't need one right now.
Yep.
And we already have, every Dynamite's full of a 4-person or 8-team, 8-on-8, or, however many people in the ring, just because they have so many people they've got to give camera time to as it is. So to put another 2-on-2 match in the mix and develop more characters is just something they don't have a proven track record of doing.
Ramen Noodle in the chat says, I think they are better positioned for a women's tag team division than they are for a men's at this point. The women are killing it this year, and the relationships seem mostly organic.
Okay. We can scrap the men's and add the women's. I'm fine with that.
Back to JB goes, I'm starting to think what might make the most sense is Athena takes a belt off Storm at Forbidden Door, which eventually sets up Mercedes versus Athena 2 for the title at All Out. Storm is a character that doesn't necessarily need the title to be a star, and AEW could use another top woman in the division, and Athena victory over Storm would go a long way to elevating her and rekindling her rivalry with Mercedes, although we again run into a heel-heel dynamic, which is not ideal. Yes, yeah. I agree. And a little bit of truce between them today. Toni Storm's a big star, and if you move her out of a top spot, you're kind of sending a signal and giving the impression that, you might like her, but she's not a perennial top act, and I think a couple more years of perennial top is important.
I think her beating Mercedes said where they feel Toni Storm is.
Yes. Yep. Good citation there. I do like the parody of Don Callis being jacked in the portraits that he draws with his wrestlers. Yes. This is back to JB's email, by the way. And I'm fascinated with what they do in the Copeland-Stokely match next week. It's certainly not a match I would have had on my 2025 bingo card. So FTR and Stokely cutting a promo tonight, or being interviewed, I guess I should say, and Stokely talking about his match. Copeland reveals he got a match next week against Stokely, and Stokely responds and tries to accept it, maybe be kind of brave, but then also sigh at the end like this isn't going to be good. What do you think of Copeland's setup and Stokely's reaction with FTR?
It's all about where they go next. I think they set it up to where, okay, I care enough to watch. Let's see where it goes. Yeah.
A babyface beating up an annoying but hapless manager can backfire. And so it is important. They got to be
I think
careful.
Copeland's the right one to do it well with. Yep. I think he can pull it off. He's smart enough to pull it off.
And managers have taken beatings before. Like in AEW, if you beat Nick Bockwinkel, you get 5 minutes in the ring with Bobby Heenan, that kind of thing.
In the weasel suit.
That was so fun as a kid. Oh my God, seeing Bobby have to get in the weasel suit. I'm not a weasel, I'm a brain. He was so good. If Adrian Adon, what was the story that if Kurt Hennig could last 5 or 10 in the first show I ever saw, is like if Kurt Hennig could last 5 or 10 minutes with Adrian Adonis, then Larry the Axe Hennig could get his hands on Adrian Adonis afterwards, or something along those lines that they played up to. So there's a lot of different ways you can play up the idea, but I don't know. Has Stokely been obnoxious enough and cost Copeland enough to justify Copeland beating him up as a non-manager, or as a non-wrestler who's a manager?
FTR did the physical, heinous things, and he's the one that they hide behind. He's the lawyer type, and you can't do this, and he found a loophole where he's like, well, I can do this. So he's getting what he can do, and hey, we used to tell people don't run your mouth, don't write a check that your ass can't cash. and Stokely has.
Yep. And I'm not critical of it. I just think it would have been ideal to have him be more meddling and obnoxious
physically.
and yeah, like just do a little where fans are just like, oh my God, someone's got to get their hands on him. This is too much. And instead it was almost like, well, we're going to just do this thing for a week or two to get to this point. And the reason it's not about the
rush story.
Yeah. And it's in my argument is nothing other than I don't think their goal should be to put Copeland in a position to get booed or not have Stokely look sympathetic because he's getting beat up by a wrestler. As annoying as he is, I don't know if he's been annoying long enough for everyone to be on board with, Copeland just destroy that guy.
Yeah.
Ramen Noodle says, Stoke was great tonight. I'm rooting for him. I'm really feeling this pairing. I think Stokely, they've got a good pair of top managers in different positions with Don Callis and Stokely right now. And Stokely's found a groove. I was not a full-on believer in him until recently, and I think he and FTR are really good together.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
The FTR's heels great. I mean, obviously, do not need a mouthpiece. I think Dax is very underrated in a lot of aspects. But they don't need a mouthpiece to be a legendary tag team. They've done that for years. But as heels, it gives them somebody to hide behind. And it's just a fun, smart pairing. And when you've got the intimidating people standing behind the small guy, it's a fun setup.
And I think it adds a new dynamic and more interest to FTR promos to have Stokely there as their manager. And I think there's always a temptation from fans to cheer cheer FTR because they are these traditional wrestlers who have good matches and, kind of in a meta way. I don't want to boo those guys because I know they respect wrestling or whatever. Stokely just takes that away because he's so obnoxious. And I like the juxtaposition of the personalities well. Derek Mitchell says, I agree with Wade. What has Stokely done to reach a crescendo where he'd be forced to have a match against Copeland? He adds, maybe it's more a feature than a flaw or part of the point, but he says, Stokely's tracksuits aren't flattering. Maybe go back to a business suit. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, and it goes back to Tony rushing things. I think if you read Tony's outline for his booking, it a lot of times makes a lot of sense and it sounds like a great story. But when you have it play out over 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and not, the pacing of Hangman Swerve means so much more because they've paced it so much better. And the story's there. Cope getting his hands on Stokely, the story's there. You've got to build the emotion. It's why the heel called the match to know, hey, this is the right time. The heat's there. Let's pull the trigger and let's get the comeback.
Yeah. Ramen Noodle says, I think FTR obviously not needing Stokely makes the pairing that much more odious.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Back to GB.
Nick Bockwinkel never needed Bobby Heenan either.
Yep.
Those are the greatest pairings.
Oh, but yes. No, totally with you. I mean, when you have two great talkers who are very different than each other, but then they complement each other, and when the heel doesn't need them, but he likes having them around, it really works. I mean, J.J. Dillon and the Four Horsemen worked, for that reason too. All right, JB says, I'm still really wondering what to make of this Hurt Syndicate MJF split. At first, I was convinced they just thought it wasn't working and decided to immediately pivot to MJF pursuing Hangman's title and the Hurt Syndicate focusing on defending the tag titles. However, this is the third week since the breakup was suggested, and MJF and the Syndicate are still interacting. With the news added tonight, if MJF wins Hangman's title, Lashley will be pursuing it. Was this possibly the plan the entire time, and there's actually a bigger picture in mind, or was a sudden breakup plan altered due to fan complaints? It could be either. But I think the criticism wasn't, this might not go somewhere that makes sense. The criticism, going to what you said, Griffin, is the pace of it felt jarring. And when you have a storyline where there's a chapter in it that feels so jarring that people think, what's going on here? Do they not get along? Are they abandoning it? You don't want people watching like a TV series week after week, and there's a plot twist where you're like, the writers abandoned an idea for some reason because something wasn't working. You just want to think everything hits a turning point or a crux in a way that's logical, that feels natural, and the characters breaking up didn't feel natural. Again, they might have just had a crunch in the calendar and the dates didn't line up well, and they did the best they could, and that's why I say in 6 weeks or whatever, we'll look back and go, okay, at least it was heading somewhere. But it wasn't ideal. The pacing wasn't ideal. And that's probably what this is, given, as JB says, where we are today with MVP going, if you win the title, Lashley's coming for it. Although I don't know how I feel about that, because, I mean, I guess Lashley will be cheered.
Yeah. Well, I always felt like the way they were going was MJF was going to be the reason they ended up losing the tag titles, and that's why they would kick him out.
Yep.
Because they're too dominant to just lose their titles. It just doesn't make sense for any of the tag teams they have to beat those two guys. So I just thought it was going to have to be MJF hurting it because he's more selfish about his own ambitions.
Totally. Yep. And that totally makes, I mean, that's a good kind of predictability because you want to see it play out. And we were robbed of it. Sadler was in the chat goes, this story skipped like 5 chapters. They should have had MJF annoy the crap out of the Hurt Syndicate for like 5 to 6 weeks with Lashley and Shelton rolling their eyes in the background and MVP trying to be the peacemaker. And they skipped all of that.
We want to see it. We don't want to just see the match on the pay-per-view. We want to see all the stuff in between.
Yeah. But they kept interacting, and they're trying to get something out of it. Maybe it's a red herring saying if you win the title, Lashley's coming for it. Maybe that's not where they're heading. Okay. So let's I'll go back to JB's email. But Brodito winning tonight was a bit of a surprise, but I can't deny that I'm happy that Brody King actually seems to be getting somewhat of a push, even if it's in the tag team that seems to be gaining popularity weekly. I mean, I'm a fan of tag team wrestling, and if you can have, well, we already covered it, but if you can have a team that people really are into, go with it. And this win is, and I mean, it works for the Bucks too. So it's a dual purpose outcome, and really 3 ways. It gives Bucks something to whine and complain about and gives fans satisfaction. 2, it legitimizes Brodito as a team. And also it has a lasting effect of telling viewers, you think you know the outcome, but you don't. We'll surprise you sometime. And you got to do that sometimes. Yep. Something I noticed was a lot of Renee Paquette. I'm not complaining. It just seemed it just seemed unusual relative to the mix that you normally have. I wonder if someone who was supposed to be there backstage tonight couldn't make it for some reason. I'm anticipating saying Alicia Tout was there also, and she had 2 segments. So it was a lot of Renee's segments, but it wasn't just her. And I think they just were a little heavier on interviews this week. But that crossed my mind too. I'm like, oh, Renee again. Oh wow, a lot of Renee.
Did it go from her doing a backstage to her being in ring for the Callis family, or was that a different backstage interviewer?
I don't recall it after.
It seemed like it went from a Renee backstage to a Renee in ring, but it could have just been a different blonde interviewer.
They did a couple times, and they do this. They say earlier today.
Okay,
this happened, so that might have been a case where they.
But that's weird to put them back to back with her like that.
I agree. Yep. And that kind of played into the idea of, a lot of Renee this week. It might have just been happenstance. Finally, JB says this year's Forbidden Door.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not terrible.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's not like Renee. Alex Marvez got 7 segments. That'd be horrible.
No.
All right. I mean, he is not good, but at that role. Anyway, this year's Forbidden Door honestly feels like any other AEW pay-per-view this year, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that being said, should they just drop the Forbidden Door name at this point? The original concept barely seems to even be there this year. As always, love the show and go VIP. I think that's a good point. I mean, why not change the name if the concept doesn't work anymore? Don't call it the Cruiserweight Classic if there's one Cruiserweight match and 6, other regular, women's and men's tag team matches. Like, it isn't what you're saying it is anymore, at least the spirit of the name, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's trying to get that fan base. I do think that AEW is sometimes bigger in some other markets. And I think it's the credibility they build with some of the other international companies they do that with. So sometimes I wonder if it's not a larger business decision.
Statler Vision 3 says Forbidden Door died for me after AEW took all the top New Japan stars. Yeah,
it makes it a little hard to have a crossover when they're all in one universe.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a forbidden door if you're under contract to that company and it's your obligation to show up and walk through that door. That is no longer forbidden. It is. They should change the name of the pay-per-view to contractually obligated to appear. And see how
contractual obligation would not be a terrible name for a pay-per-view.
Or it would be terrible, but also wonderful.
It'd be the right type of terrible.
Yeah. There we go. I thought Swerve Strickland, by the way, his name got brought up a minute ago. I thought his promo, he stumbled over his words a couple times, but overall, it was an example of him getting reps and getting better. He was shaky on the mic when he first started getting a push, and that was a concern. He was cool, people liked him, but he kind of it just underdelivered in big segments, in big promo segments. And here he's live in front of the crowd. Again, stumbled on his words. It's not that big of a deal. It's like if a wrestler screws up a move and it's not part of a pattern and they recover nicely, I'm not gonna make a big draw attention to it. It happens, but he it's starting to feel comfortable out there in a way that he wasn't a year ago, and I like that. I hope he keeps getting better. I
love the way it was shot. I love the angle. Yes. I love that it was somewhere different.
Yep.
The way it showed a crowd behind them reacting.
Yep.
They need to do more of that. I loved the way that when the Continental Classic was happening and there was a Continental Championship, and they would do, I think it was Eddie Kingston's recommendation that they would do a promo on the way to the ring, on the way to get her title shot, and it was a promo on the ramp with a crowd behind, and it was shot really well. Swerve always looks cool. He's just a cool guy. You want to see him, you want to cheer him, you want to be like him, unless he's cutting a promo over a baby, maybe. Not a great attribute.
Mm-hmm.
But it Swerve's fantastic, and even when he stumbles over his words, stumbling over your words and losing the crowd and stumbling over your words to make the point to the crowd the right way are two different things, and I think he's in the latter camp.
Or stumbling over words and recovering quickly and not skipping a beat and keeping the crowd with you,
too.
Which is, I would say, what happened here.
That's live TV.
Yeah. Yep. There was, I think the only thing we didn't really cover is the Aminata, Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander segment. Willow and
Statlander need to go away from each other. Like, they need to find other things to do.
Yeah.
I'm not a Statlander person, but she has her fans, so I'm not going to say she needs to go away, but they need to move away from each other. And I love Willow. I love Willow Nightingale. I think she's awesome. But I think she needs to be. They just need to do something with other people.
I think Willow has a lot going for her. She is losing me on her promos in recent months, though, or especially recent weeks. I feel like she's like a camp counselor talking to third graders when she cuts her promos. Yeah. There's an element of her thinking she's very charming and talking about her.
You can't get with her mother fluffing promos.
Right. Yes. I don't know. I mean, there's something like she goes, "I'm here to smile and win matches and beat people up who try to stop either of them." I would rather have her not draw attention to her perkiness, her optimism, her being bubbly and all of that, and just be it. But there also has been, it's sort of like I used to say, Shane McMahon's promos always, no matter who he's talking to, it was like a dad scolding a son for not playing defense hard enough in a soccer game, and it just, the delivery was just so off-putting, and she's entering that territory a little bit. I mean, I think she should watch it back and go, okay, something's wrong here. It feels a little. She's kind of like she's lecturing you into liking her.
Yeah, she's so likable that she doesn't have to try that hard.
Yep.
She's naturally, like, she doesn't need to talk about smiling. She just needs to smile because she says way more just smiling rather than talking about her smile.
And I want her to be happy, but not wear her happiness like it's her gimmick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And I also, I love her, like when she goes into a street fight and she's not wearing bright colors, she's in street clothes, she braids her hair down. I like when she switches gear, but to be both gears, like I'm gonna smile and kick your ass doing it, is not a babyface promo.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I think she, talk about Swerve getting reps. I think Willow needs reps, but I also think she needs just a critique, like someone she trusts to just go, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I have words for it, but I know my emotions when I watch her is less naturally feeling like I want to root for her and more going, wait, why are you talking to me that way? It just, there's something that just isn't quite landing the way that it did early on with her, where it felt more new and fresh, and now it's sort of self-aware, and I don't know. Sadler Vision 3 says she has a Ned Flanders vibe. I haven't watched Simpsons in forever, so I'm trying to think of what that means. Derek Mitchell said, it seems Tony Khan wants Chris Statlander to be his vision of Rhea Ripley, but there's a disconnect. Statlander's her acting it's on the weaker side of things. I mean, that's the problem with Willow too. Her acting here, she's naturally likable when she's not talking. Yeah, she's not talking about her smile and talking about her gimmick. She just is. And but Statlander she's just been on this like endless journey to try to find a voice, and it's awkward, and like this was weird too. Sadler Vision 3 in the chat says, what the F was that Statlander
that
promo
was
and
weird.
Yeah,
that was weird. Statlander is one of those, and I kind of get this vibe from Tiffany Stratton as well. They crossed over into wrestling. They were not fans of wrestling, so there's just parts of it they don't get.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were recruited into it because they'd be good fits for it. And there's a lot different of somebody who comes in as a fan who, I mean, look at how great Dominic Mysterio is becoming just because of how much he loved watching his dad do it. And, when you grow up with these fan ideas and thoughts that you want to institute and they're done well, it helps. And she doesn't have that going for her. And sometimes I think that holds her back.
Statlander, Derek Mitchell says, Statlander has been on a loop trying to find her character. I agree. Yeah. So anyway, probably enough on that. Anything else on your mind or in your notes that you want to bring up from tonight's show? I mean, I kind of scrolled through. I think we successfully we covered everything on the show, I believe. But maybe there's something you want to note that is out there that we didn't get into.
No, I think we covered everything other than I need more introduction for these women that come in from Stardom and come in from other places. What's her name that's in there that was just added?
Windsor, Alex Windsor.
Windsor.
Yep.
Yeah, like who is she? Like
out of the corner of your eye, she's Chris Statlander. Out of the corner of your eye.
She has an awesome presence. Like she belongs in the ring. I'm drawn to her. I like her. I want to know more. Tell me more.
Yep. I agree. All right, very good. Griffin, thanks. I know it's been you're in the midst of a lot going on. I hope this was recharging a little bit with all the pressure over the next 9 days.
It's back to packing after this.
Yes. Well, enjoy the process. You'll look back on it one way or the other as a special time. And tell people again where they can find your store a week from Friday? Week from Friday or Saturday?
Week from Friday, the 15th. Yeah. We're at the Citadel Mall in Colorado Springs. And it's you go in, we're downstairs from the food court, and we're a nostalgic brand, so it works well to be in a mall. We carry a lot of 80s and 90s products, so go to an 80s 90s spot and go get your corn dog and Dippin' Dots and head over to Nerdstalgia. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and nerdstalgia.shop is where you can see some of the stuff we sell, or just follow us on socials. And then I'll have top 5 article that I'll get out in the next couple of days. And you're muted, Wade.
You know what? I didn't yet, so I had to, at least get one minute in before the end of the show here. Yep. the VIP membership plug. I'll throw the graphic on the screen for YouTube viewers. PWTorch.com/GoVIP gives you full details on all the ways to sign up and all the different packages and price points, depending on what you're looking for in VIP membership. PWTorch.com/GoVIP. You can also get a free trial, 7 days free. Just search PWTorch VIP in Patreon or Spotify. Just search PWTorch VIP. Get 7 days free of unlocking all the VIP podcasts. You can stay there, or you can upgrade to full VIP membership at PWTorch.com/GoVIP and get access to our archives. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. Jason Paul, by the way, was on the flagship yesterday. So if you were not part of, or if you haven't heard yesterday's flagship yet, go to the Blue Logo show and check it out. We covered a lot on the Brock Lesnar situation, and also talked SummerSlam, AEW, including a topic not like in the news, but what's AEW going to do for the next crop of talent, of wrestlers? Where are they going to come from? You know, with an indie scene that's not strong, they've already poached, so to speak, they've hired away a lot of NXT, New Japan wrestlers. And where's that next group going to come from? Is that something that they're thinking about and planning for? That's another topic that we covered on the flagship and a lot else. So check it out. Just search Wade Keller in your podcast app and subscribe to this, the Red Logo Show, to get the podcast version. It includes more than is on YouTube, by the way, if you're watching us on YouTube. So you'll want to subscribe either way to that, and subscribe to the Blue Logo Show and refresh daily. Also search PWTorch to get the PWTorch Daily Cast, including the All Elite Conversation Club, one of the weekly shows with different hosts covering a specific theme or category of the pro wrestling industry. The 90s Past Cast is a blast too, speaking of going back to the 90s. But yeah, Griff, it's got to be fun growing up in malls, having that be the kind of the social hub for kids and teenagers and stuff, to now be one of the store owners watching kids come through and look at your stuff.
It's a weird full circle moment. I met my wife working at a bookstore in a mall 27 years ago.
Wow.
And here I am. Here we are 27 years later. We're painting a store and setting up shelves and opening a store together. So
that is awesome. Thank you, everybody, for your support, and we will talk to you all next time.